Good morning. I'm Chuck Bass, and today we're going to find out what this sound is.
Wild card, bitches! Yeah! What? Oh, God! Oh, my God!
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Fantasy Football Championship weekend. We made it. The worst games you've ever seen have already been played. Everything on Christmas Day was horrible. Both of the games yesterday were awful, and I'm sure today is going to be more of the same. And I can't wait. This is what we do it for. We do it so we can watch our guys lose by 40. We watch it so that free leagues that we entered in for fun, we win by 50. But that doesn't stop us from getting to these start sits, and I look forward to it again today, per usual. I've got a live studio audience with me. Hey, buddy. Hey, you want to say hi? Yeah, who's a good boy? That's a good boy. That's Groot showing up per usual. Let's rock out some start sits. Chat's already blowing up. They need answers. I've got them for you. Oh, right before we get to this, I will let you guys know, as always, I will be giving you the Player Profiler weekly rankings done by Evan and the gang, as well as my personal spin on them. And then if anybody else in the chat has anything they want to say to chime in, you are more than welcome. This is a group think, and we're going to make it work. Now, noon, I got you. Hunter Henry or Taysom Hill. This is why I can't sleep. I wouldn't be sleeping either if I was thinking even remotely about playing Taysom Hill this weekend, but God love you. I know he is the number one most trending player on the internet right now on all the sites. On Player Profiler, he's up there. I believe I saw him on some other ones that won't be named because they don't pay us. If you don't pay us, it's a pay-to-play situation here. But either way, you want me to shut the hell up and give you the rankings. Taysom Hill, tight end 11 this week, 11.5 points. He has the 15th easiest matchup, but does that really matter with Taysom Hill? Because he plays the game like a Madden created character. And then you compare that to Hunter Henry, who is surprisingly low, tight end 17. I guess he's been a little wishy-washy, right? We haven't quite seen the consistency with him. Kayshon Boutte out, Mac Hollins on IR. Funniest thing I can think of is Mac Hollins going on IR after walking into games like shirtless. Like, I can't wait till they say it's pneumonia or something like that. So that's going to be fun. I'm probably going to go with Hunter Henry here. I still think the Taysom Hill usage has been inconsistent, and I don't think they're unlocking anything. Most of his points came from a fluky long touchdown pass to Chris Olave, which we're not going to see too often. So, I'm going with Hunter Henry here. I think he's got a higher floor and a higher ceiling. So let's rock that out. Henry Odom. How are we doing this morning, Henry? My opponent has Wilson and I have McBride. Should I play Brissett or May? I'm taking May for the rushing upside here. Brissett obviously has been incredible. It's been a lot of fun. But this way you don't have to double dip. And I like that, right? Like you're maxing out your chances of taking it home. And McBride is still going to get his. I'm a little bit more worried about Wilson as they, it really took a fluky touchdown pass last week to give him another feel-good game. Obviously, he out-snapped, out-targeted, outshined Marvin Harrison Jr. again, and that is going to continue to happen, I think, for the rest of the season. But he is going to be eased back in. That is the thing. So we've got Marvin Harrison at wide receiver 24 this week. They project him at least 7 targets. So those are 7 targets that aren't going to go to Michael Wilson. Let's say King. King is just, he didn't even have a question. He just says, "What's up, guys?" And that's what I'm talking about. He's a vibes guy. This is a vibes guy coming to the crew, and we need all the vibes we can get this morning. Vibes are low across the board. I haven't seen a lot of happy people unless you played Derrick Henry. If you played against him, condolences, but it's okay. We're going to bounce back. And Jeff is in the championship, but the problem is, as rad as Jeff is, he ran into Derrick Henry last night. So we'll take a little condolences sip there. Make sure you guys are hydrating today. It's going to be a long one. I sat Henry, projected to still win by 30. That's good. That's a flex. All right. That's the kind of thing you think about 2 years from now. That's the kind of thing you tell stories to people at the airport about. If you're at like Chili's too, or Wolfgang Puck restaurant in Miami airport, you let people know, a couple years ago, I actually sat Derrick Henry and I still won the chip. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, we have to put everything on pause for 1 second because we have a little cameo, a little guest appearance coming to the show live, making her 5th appearance on the show. Is that the wrist didn't make it? Can we just get a thumbs up for the camera? That's what's up. That's a lovely lady right there, ladies and gentlemen. She's bringing me the hot stuff because she is the hot stuff. Now, what do we got here? You wanted to know, you sat Henry. Okay, play Hill or wait on Kittle. I'm waiting on Kittle, Tongs. I just think that the tight end production, especially with all the other guys out, Ricky Pearsall might not play. I think that you're going to be Brock Purdy has just been leaning on the tight ends, and for good reason, because you're going to get 80% of Kittle from a receiving standpoint with Tongs. So this week we had Kittle as our tight end too. If he's out, I would probably have Tongs as tight end 20, kind of in that Barnard, Kincaid, Gunnar Helm range. So yeah, I'd still roll that way. And the matchup's pretty fun too. And Chicago's losing guys left and right. Warren or Hill? Oh, that's funky. You know, do we want the Warren thing is coming to a brutal end, and it sucks because I think that this is he really was a standout player for 10 weeks, regardless of rookie or not. We've got him as tight end 7 this week, 8 projected targets, 5 receptions, 40 yards. That feels about right. It's a tough matchup going against the Jags, but they did just play them, and I like when teams who got their shit pushed in get the rematch within 2 to 3 weeks. Smart offensive coordinator like Steichen, Rivers getting a little bit more hang of the offense. I thought Rivers looked very good considering everything on Monday night last week. So I'd actually go Warren there as well. I think there's going to be something to it. Phillip Rivers just cannot throw the ball down the field, and eventually that is going to turn Warren's way. Alec Pierce cannot continue to score these touchdowns. He just can't do it, guys. Can't do it. I mean, I'm not going to hate it, but he can't do it. Sampson or Burden need upside. We got to go Burden here. I actually think Sampson's a pretty nice floor play if he does play. I mean, he could come out of this game with 11 targets for 11 yards. So that's nice floor baked in here. And I'll give you the ranking. He's going to be our RB30 this week at 10.6 points. His matchup is decent. Pittsburgh's been the 11th toughest against the rush, which is good. But, you know, Sampson's value purely comes from pass catching. And then you're talking about Luther Burden. Luther Burden is going to be our wide receiver 32 this week. 17th easiest matchup. 28 implied. Where'd you go? 24.5 implied point total for the Bears this week, taking on the 49ers. And I think we just talked about Phillip Rivers, right? And what he was able to do. The 49ers did a pretty good job of shutting down the run game, which was surprising, but they could not stop a very underwhelming passing attack. And I think that if the Bears roll this momentum that they have right now into this matchup, which I think they're capable of, might be looking at a barn burner here. So Luther Burden, we have him projected for 6 targets for 42 yards and potentially a touchdown. If you're looking for upside, I could see him, 5 for 120 and 2 touchdowns. If we're really talking about I need upside, because Sampson, I don't think is going to give you that upside. There's too much weird shit going on in Cleveland for, I think, anybody to give you too much upside. They unintentionally spread the ball around too much. So let's go with Burden there. Lawrence or May? My God, Henry. My God. All right, let's give you the rankings here. Drake May, who I think is going to be in a lot of these today because he's missing a few guys. We're getting to the end of the season, all that jazz. He's going to be our quarterback 6. Taking on the Jets. What do we got here? Give me the implied points. The implied point total for the Patriots. That's going to be 28, which is the second highest of the weekend. The Bengals lead everybody at 30.3, which is so funny. And then right behind them is the Patriots at 28 points. I don't think that's going to be 3 or 4 rushing touchdowns for the running backs. I think that's Drake May rushing. I think that's Drake May passing. So I feel pretty good about that. Indy, plucky defense. I know the train just got ran on them by the 49ers, but the 49ers have been, since Brock Purdy has come back, the number 1 offense in the NFL. Better than the Rams, better than the Patriots, better than I'm trying to make a funny joke here, but there's so many bad offenses I can't even think of one. The Browns. How about that? Better than the Browns. So I would probably go with Drake May here. I like Trevor Lawrence, nice floor play, but Drake May is going to give you floor and ceiling. Tyler Warren or Taysom Hill got you covered already. We're going Tyler Warren there. Pick one, half PPR, Samson, Downs, or Ibuka. Oh man, I think this one is worthy of a clip.
Why are you fucking with me?
Why are you fucking with me? Why are you fucking with me? Huh?
That's brutal. I'm not going to lie to you, Ways of Glory. So I will default to the rankings here. Josh Downs is barely going to be a wide receiver 3 this week at wide receiver 37. Only projected 9.9 points. So they're basically praying for a touchdown there against Jacksonville. And then you're looking at Ibuka. Ibuka, who once looked to be not just rookie of the year, but potentially an all-pro player. And he has just absolutely, I can't even find him on the ranking sheet. Where are you? Ibuka. Wide receiver. This is insane. Wide receiver 74 this week behind Josh Palmer, Xavier Legette, Isaiah Bond, Tyler Lockett. Treylon Burks is ranked ahead of Ibuka this week, guys. He's only projected 6 full PPR points. He has the 8th most difficult matchup of the week, even with the Buccaneers projected 25.5 Vegas points. That is the 3rd highest of this Sunday slate. They're only looking at him to get 4 targets, which feels about right, 24 yards. Yikes. So I probably would go with Sampson in this one if he is able to play. Should get the lion's share of the work in the backfield. Like we're not looking at a high ceiling for any of these guys, so you're probably just hoping for floor. And I feel strongly about that. So let's go with Downs. And look at Rip. Rip's even backing me up in the 21. Rip said, why is Chuck the only one that gets to answer these questions? I want to get in on this. He's gonna start his own podcast, and we're all gonna tune in. And then Matt, this is a guy who has beat me in about 3 leagues. Is it right, Slashy? Have you beaten me in 3 playoffs this 2025 season? And have you beaten me handedly in just about all of them? That feels great. And he shows up every morning, and even though he's a kind individual who always has fun, encouraging things to say, just seeing his icon there alone reminds me of my pain, of my loss, of my shortcomings, and also how bad I can be at fantasy football. Now, Jeff said, I projected to lose by 13 PPR. Michael Wilson, Tetaroa McMillan, or Devonta Smith with the stack with Hurts. I feel you there. Pick one. Could start 2, but it would have to bench Breece Hall to make it happen. Help. Well, benching Breece Hall is probably a rational thought. He has had, let's see here. Where are you? Breece Hall is going to be our RB22 on the week, just to kind of start from the back and work our way in. Breece Hall has the 4th most difficult matchup of the week, taking on the Patriots, who are getting a little bit of help back this week, I think, on defense, if I saw that correctly. He will get a decent amount of the work, although I did feel like every time I saw that game last week, I saw more Isaiah Davis than I was hoping to. But you're talking about full PPR here, right? So let's get to our rank. I feel pretty good. There's a couple guys I feel better about than their ranking would indicate this weekend. McMillan is actually one of them. He's going to be wide receiver 29 this week, taking on the Seahawks. 11.4 full PPR points, only a 17.75 implied point total for the Panthers. So not a lot of scoring projected here. The thing is, I think that when this offense decides that, look, we have to, or not when they decide, because they don't want to do this. When they have to pass the ball, McMillan's very good as a receiving option. It's not like some of these other teams, like with Tampa Bay, when the Buccaneers are down by 14 and they need to pass the ball, we're still not getting it from Ibuka. When the Chargers were down 14 to the Texans, they needed to pass the ball, but they couldn't get it to McConkey. The Panthers are capable somehow, some way of doing that with McMillan, whether it's the way they scheme the ball, whether it's the way that Bryce Young focuses in, all that jazz. So I like a full PPR match for him. I like it over Wilson. I like it over Devonta Smith. I think all of these guys have a pretty high ceiling this week. Wilson, because he always does with Brissett. McMillan for the reasons I just laid out, and Smith because he's always had these boom bust games, right? And just to give you the rankings here, Devonta Smith is going to be wide receiver 23. He's got a decent matchup against the Bills. The Bills secondary has been their strength on defense. Devonta Smith is projected 7.9 targets for 56 yards and potentially a touchdown. I know you're like, how can you potentially predict a touchdown? That's how I feel. Okay. Call that gut intuition. I've been watching this team for 16 weeks. Might have a touchdown. And then, of course, Michael Wilson does top all these guys off at wide receiver 15, taking on them of the most. Here's the thing. We see people's eyes light up when they see that they're playing the Bengals, but the Bengals corners have been the thorn in opposing wide receivers' side all season long. the fourth most difficult matchup as well for a corner or for a wide receiver this week. A decent point total implied for the Cardinals. I know we're going to get a lot of Cardinals today because people are going to be continually confused. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr., if he knew how to play the wide receiver position, not like an asshole, he would have caught a nice touchdown this week, and we would be wondering, like, what are we doing with these Cardinals wide receivers? But alas, he plays the receiver like the mentioned sphincter. So it's good stuff. I'm going with McMillan here. The rankings are going to tell you to play Michael Wilson. Something in me is just a little hesitant to pull that out. If you want to go stack Ola and you like this, this matchup for Smith and you think he could be due again, I got no problem with that. Because now that I'm thinking about it, McMillan probably has the lowest floor considering the matchup. But full PPR does change things, and I don't love Smith and full PPR. Could get a little wonky. Brian said, wait for Kittle or start Taysom or Kincaid. I don't have. If you don't have them, you probably got to go. I guess I'm scouring early and often today, all the way up until like 12:50 to see, because the thing with Kittle is that it is big time reward if he does play, right? He's our tight end 2 on the week, 14th easiest matchup, 27.8 implied points for the 49ers. And we know that could be easily two. This is one of the only tight ends on the board, even ahead of McBride, I think, that he could easily score 2 touchdowns. The other guys can't really do that. Maybe Goddard if the hand is hot, but it's just the reward of playing Kittle in the championship game might be worth risking. Now, I don't know what other options you have, because if you talk about like what else is even available, I mean, the Monday night game, I don't know if Parkinson's on the wire. I'm trying to think about what the potential options could end up being there, because it's not a lot of fun. I mean, Kyle Pitts is going to be scooped up, so you're not going to have a lot of love, not going to have a lot of luck there. So you want to know, do I want to pay Kincaid or Taysom? We talked about Taysom when we led off the show, but he's going to be our tight end 11 this week, taking on the Titans. Can't really get into you can't bust out metrics. You can't bust out efficiency data. You can't bust out EPA per play data. You just have to hope that he's used in high value situations, which he has been occasionally over these last 3 to 4 weeks, which is very annoying to me. But we're talking about Kincaid as well, who really, Kincaid had a nice 7-8 week stretch where he was looking like a primo tight end 1. And between injuries and rotations and the way Josh Allen spread the ball around, Josh Allen injury on top of that, Kincaid's down at tight end 20, taking on the Eagles, who have been nails against the tight end. The second most difficult, that is, all across the board here. Now, this is a big boy matchup. Both these teams got a lot rolling on 4:25 primetime island game pretty much, because there's somehow only 2 late afternoon games, because the NFL wants to ruin your Christmas with bad football. They want to ruin your Saturday with bad football. If we're going to have bad football, and guys, let's face it, we're going to have bad football, I want it all condensed into one day, mainly so I don't have to watch insurance commercials for 9 straight hours. I'm not into that. I don't want that ever. But I can minimize the damage done by Liberty Liberty, and Progressive and State Farm, and I'm sure there's the General, all these commercials that we're inundated with all day, every day. Just put them in the corner on DirecTV on Sunday Ticket, put them in the bottom left corner, and let me switch the volume to top right, and let me hear a brutal update from Adam Shine, who is one of the worst guys still working in sports entertainment. All right, back to it. That was nice little. That's how we do it. That's how we stall for time here. Sorry, I skipped one. I got to get back to you here. I'm saying wait, but if you can't wait, you got to go with. If you can't wait, you got to go with Taysom Hill. That's the high floor play there. Good morning, brother. Happy holidays. Good morning, Lopez, as well. Good morning to all you guys. I'm happy to have you on the Player Profiler Start Sits. It's been a lot of fun this year. Let's keep it going. Happy holidays. We liking Hurts over Shuck. We are. And now, look, this is not the poo-poo on Tyler Shuck. I think he has been as impressive as any of these rookies. Let's give it up for the 2025 class for showing up late, by the way. They showed up. Cam Ward is looking like he is going to be the real deal, I think. Tyler Shuck coming on very strong. I think he's going to be, he could give the Saints 4 or 5 years here, maybe longer. Jackson Dart is going to be the toast of the town in fantasy circles for the next several years if he keeps playing like this. Quinn Ewers exists. It's about all I can say. I mean, he got 2 out of our lives. So, I mean, I got to shout the man out. Thought that was going to be Zach Wilson, but it ended up being Quinn Ewers. Didn't see that coming, but I'm happy about the end result. All the merrier. But you want to know, am I taking him over Hurts? I am not. Jalen Hurts is going to be the quarterback 2 on the week. So not only is he ahead of Shuck, he's ahead of Dak, Josh Allen. Oh, Dak already played, but Josh Allen, Caleb Williams, Drake May. He's ahead of Drake May. Fantastic. Taking on Buffalo. Buffalo they've been decent. They've actually been the 5th most difficult matchup for opposing quarterbacks, but Jalen Hurts is not your typical opposing quarterback. So they have him projected for 19.8 points. Vegas only has the Eagles at 20.5 points, which is relatively low considering the slate this week. I mean, I think, gosh, is that going to be? No, that can't be right. Yeah, there's only about 6 quarterbacks that Vegas projects less points for. So that's interesting. So something to keep an eye on there. Full complement of weapons, all that jazz. I just think and Shuck himself is a fun play if you guys are looking at playing Shuck this week. Titans have been, their defense has been coming on strong. It's not the train wreck that it was early in the season. So how about this for you? Let me wiggle my way out of this like a little punk ass. I'll give you Tyler Shuck for floor and Jalen Hurts for ceiling. Boom. I know you guys need floor ceiling plays this week. We all do. I do big time. Do I run with Kenneth Walker or Brian Thomas Jr.? I love that you spelled out Junior, Jerome. That's a sign of somebody who's suffering from fantasy neurosis this morning, and I would be doing the same thing. Don't worry. My full flex PPR in the championship game. Thank you. This is gross. This makes me want to yak in my pants. Makes me want to pull my waistline up, throw up directly into my drawers. Kenneth Walker, RB24 on the week, 12.6 full PPR points. Meanwhile, Brian Thomas Jr., who understandably so got shut down by Patrick Surtain. It happens. Not going to knock the guy for that. Where is he in the rankings this week? He is in what Bill Simmons would call the Vegas zone. He's wide receiver 25. So this is the running back and wide receiver version of each other, which is why you're struggling with the decision. I feel it. He has the 3rd easiest matchup. Colts secondary decimated and bad, even if they were healthy. So rankings-wise, they're going to tell you to go 11.7 points for Brian Thomas Jr. Compare that to 12.6 for Kenneth Walker, taking on a very nice matchup in Carolina. Carolina been getting run train on. Oh, man, this is tough titties right here. I'm going to go with Kenneth Walker. I think Kenneth Walker's coming on strong. I think this is why they've been saving him all season. I think the volume's going to be there. Brian Thomas Jr. is basically, does the long ball connect? And if the long ball doesn't connect, it's a disappointing day. 6 targets for 58 yards. You're praying for a touchdown. So let's go. I know it's full PPR, but Kenneth Walker is just as capable of all these guys of grabbing a few screen passes. So let's get Kenneth Walker in there. And if Brian Thomas Jr. outscores Kenneth Walker, come back to me next week. Let me know, and I'll send you some coffee money. All right, let's speed run a few of these guys so you guys don't have to wait 10 minutes for any questions. PPR, wide receiver flex, A.J. Brown, weather is a concern. Jalen Hurts, not a good quarterback. Myers, Smith, or Woody at tight end. I'm just kidding. Hurts is a good quarterback. He just pisses me off. Myers, Swift, or Woody at, let's see here, at tight end, Loveland Hill. You need a wide receiver and a flex. I'm playing A.J. Brown, even with weather being a concern. He's our wide receiver 4 on the week. He's 16.6 full PPR points implied, only behind Puka, Jamar Chase, and JSN. So they expect a big day out of the big dog. And then you need a flex. So you're looking at Jacoby Myers, DeAndre Swift, or Woody. Let's see here. Now, if that's Woody Marks, I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, already played. So hopefully you didn't play that one, because while Woody did almost hit his projections, he didn't have the kind of game you want to see from a fantasy championship starting player here. DeAndre Swift, who has just made me just eat it all season long. Shout out Swift. Shout out Ben Johnson. He's going to be borderline RB1 this week, guys. RB13, 15.1 full PPR points, 14th easiest matchup on the week. Nice little shifty guy there. I'm probably taking Swift. He's got a nice high floor and high ceiling as well. Jacoby Myers has been good. RB for wide receiver 14 on the week.
gets a nice easy matchup as well, taking on the Colts. So basically, you're just looking at who has the higher ceiling here, and I do think that is going to end up being Swift. So let's get some A.J. Brown and let's get some Swift in there. Start one, Hurts, Purdy, or Brissett. Need upside. If you need upside, we're talking about Jalen Hurts, man. Something tells me we could be looking at a 30-point game from Jalen Hurts here today, guys. Only one quarterback is projected to outscore him. Now, and let's give you Purdy quarterback 8, Brissett quarterback 9, but Jalen Hurts quarterback 2. Let's trust Evan on this one. Evan's been very sharp with his quarterback rankings this year, on top of a lot of other beautiful things that our analytical director has been on top of on his game. Henderson or T. Higgins at PPR. This is the first Trevion Henderson question of the week. Trevion Henderson, RB17, 5th easiest matchup, 28th implied point total for the Pats. Looked like he was going to be pretty good this week until the concussion took him out. So this is a what's going on with you, Mason? Are you a sick freak? You got a fetish for the concussion guys? You got Henderson, you got T. Higgins, probably got Jordan Love on your roster as well. You're a sicko, and that's okay. T. Higgins, despite the what's going on here, where is he going to be in the rankings? Ooh, now we're talking wide receiver 7, taking on that Cardinals defense that is somehow still employing Jonathan Gannon. None of these guys have any fire in their gut. I can assure you they took the bus there. 30.25 implied points for the Bengals this week, guys. That is number 1 across all teams. They expect the Bengals to pour it on, and as long as the ball is up in the air, T. Higgins is going to be bringing it down for a touchdown. So I like T. Higgins here, especially in full PPR, letting it sling. Can't really go wrong. I think Henderson has a nice game as well. I feel like they'll probably milk the lead here. If they're not up by 2 scores early in the third quarter, then I'm betting against the Patriots first round of playoffs. Breece Hall or Michael Carter in full PPR. It's funny, Jessica, these were former teammates. Now they're enemies on your roster. Breece Hall, God, just killing me lately. RB22, Michael Carter, who is basically the pickup of the week. RB28. But here's the thing about Michael Carter. I know it. You know it. The American people know it. He's got the easiest matchup of the week taking on the Bengals. 23.3 implied point total for the Arizona Cardinals, which means we're looking at 3 scores. So if Marvin Harris, if Michael Wilson isn't busy hogging them all, might be a little Michael Carter rushing action here. This is not a good rushing offense, but this is an offense that can get the ball to the red zone, and we expect Michael Carter to be a benefactor there. And I just like that compared to what I've seen from, the Jets are the opposite, right? I don't want 1 second of this offense if I can get out of it. And I think Michael Carter is probably the lowest guy I would feel comfortable getting out of it with. So let's go with Michael Carter there, especially in full PPR. Cam Little or Harrison Mevis. I got to default to the player profiler kicker rankings here because this is not my forte. When the kickers are on the screen, I think about my childhood, mainly the times that I was neglected. Cam Little, kicker 3 on the weeks. I don't say a lot of that. Harrison Mevis, kicker 4. So you're looking at the thick kicker, the thicker, or Cam Little. Cam Little, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's been on fire lately. So let's just trust the rankings here. Let's take the points. You are looking at a little bit more points implied for the Rams taking on that Falcons defense on Monday Night Football. But I like the way the Jags are moving the ball. I like the defense that they're going up against in a dome, no weather, no nonsense. Let's get Cam Little in there. All right, London, Pitts, or Dowdle on PPR. We got a here's what I like. If you're still alive and you had Drake London last week, I like when you survive the dud games, as we all do, because I do believe that stud players are due. Nice. That's a little rhyming for you. A little Dr. Seuss in the house today. Drake London, wide receiver 9 on the week. 6th easiest matchup. That Rams defense, while they have been overall a good unit season long, their corners have just been getting turned inside out. Basically, he's working them like he's sticking their head. Opposing wide receivers have been sticking their hands up their ass and working their mouths like a Muppet. So we're looking at 14.8 full PPR points for Drake London this week. Kyle Pitts, the man who's winning people leagues, not to be too far behind. Tight end 3 on the week, 13.6 full PPR points. He does have the 12th most difficult matchup, so you're just trying to play the weakness in this Rams secondary if you're getting one of these guys in there, and that will be London, and I feel pretty good about London as well. And then Dowdle just for funsies. RB26 on the week, tough matchup. the sixth most difficult matchup. That is 12.4 full PPR points taken on the Seahawks. So I'm going with London here, and I think you are as well, looking at how you worded it. I faced Derrick Henry last night. Ooh, Pumpkin Escobar, condolences. I know you're a good man, an honorable man, and a fine tipper. One of the finest men I know. So let's get you back in the fold. Warren, tight end 7, not a lot of love. I mean, if you don't have one of the top 2 or 3 guys here, you're just praying for touchdowns. And who's more touchdown likely? Is it Warren taking on the Jags, or is it Taysom Hill taking on the Titans? It probably is Taysom Hill. I do like Warren a little bit more, just for, maybe getting those points that you need, as opposed to Taysom Hill, who could not. The rankings are going to say Warren. My gut is saying Warren, which means Taysom Hill is about to have a 30-point game. So take that for what you will. I would play Warren, but the play that you're going to remember 5 years from now, when you're filling up gas and Maria Menounos is talking to you through the Speedway pump, about ways to save when you're at Costco, you're going to be, and Taysom Hill would be the play. So I don't know how I got to that. Pick one: Wandale, Michael Wilson, or Jalen Waddle. That's a fun one. Where's Wandale? Wandale, wide receiver 13. Waddle, wide receiver 21. Michael Wilson, wide receiver 15. So they're telling you Wandale. They like the matchup. Raiders tanking. Jackson Dart healthy. Other people not healthy. I don't know if Andrew Thomas is playing in this one, which could be a problem for that for Jackson Dart and his ability to have time to get Wandale. But I like Wandale in this one. Let's pepper him with some targets. Thank you. Like and subscribe, guys. Good luck on the ship. We would appreciate that. All the likes, all the subscribes, all the shares, anything you guys can give us this morning would be much appreciated. We show up for you guys. We show up so the chat can get what they need, because you guys are good guys. You're good guys and you're good gals, and you deserve love. You deserve happiness. You deserve buy one, get one free coupons, everything that a man and a woman could ask for as we close out this 2025. What's up, Mando? Mando showing up. That's what I'm talking about. What's up? Stick with Diggs or swap for Pierce, Shaheed, Taysom Hill, full PPR. Something in my gut, which you guys are noticing a lot of gut references today, is telling me that Diggs is just not going to show up today, which sucks because you got no Kayshon Boutte, you got no Mac Hollins. Other guys are banged up on the offense. Running back room is in rotation shambles. Great matchup. Everything you could ask for a wide receiver matchup. And yet, something's telling me it's not going to happen. I'm not swapping him out for any of these guys because the full PPR there especially is going to make it nice and hot. Diggs is our wide receiver 31 this week, which is surprisingly low considering all the factors I did just name off about, why you would want to play him. But here's the hesitation, as it should be for any and everybody. Prior to last week, when Diggs did have a nice week, when he was wide receiver 9 on the week, he was wide receiver 67, 59, and 69. So if you guys were playing Diggs those previous weeks, and so there were some nice matchups in there, faced the Giants, only 4 points. If you guys are playing, you're aware of the train. He has not had a lot of wide receiver 1 weeks this year, but I'm not swapping him out for any of those guys. So play him and feel really bad about it is what I'm trying to say. Goddard or Hill, I'm playing Goddard. Tough matchup for Goddard. The Bills have been the hardest defense to play opposing tight ends against, but Harold Fannin had a nice little action against them. I think that Dallas, if Hurts has a nice game, it's going to be because of Goddard. So let's get Goddard in there, just especially over Hill. I think you have similar floors, but Goddard has that 2-touchdown ceiling. Thank you, Jerome. Start one at wide receiver 3. Burden, Pierce, Parker, Washington. I'm going to go with... Where's Luther Burden this week? Wide receiver 32. Alec Pierce is going to be, where are you, Alec? Wide receiver 44. Oof. And then Parker Washington, who is apparently the greatest wide receiver in the history of human civilization, is way down there at wide receiver 55. So we're telling you to take Luther Burden. I think I am as well. Pick on the flex, Charbonnet or Corum. Ooh, who hasn't liked the way Blake Corum has been running the ball, right? Running back 37. 9.5 full PPR points. Zach Charbonnet they're right next to each other. RB36, RB37. Nice matchup for Charbonnet. Problem with Charbonnet is he had his blow up game. Well, yes, last week. And I would be shocked to see him do that again. So I'm feeling a little bit of Blake Corum in this one in particular. I don't think if these guys score if these guys don't blow up, if one of them doesn't blow up, they're going to score within a couple points of each other anyway. So don't feel too bad. So let's get Corum in there. Burrow or May. I've got Jamar Chase. Burrow is the quarterback one for us this week, guys. 20.8 full PPR points. The Bengals have the highest implied point total of any offense this week. So let's get some Joe Burrow in there, especially with the stack. Yep, boom, rocking. That's a championship lineup. That's the kind of lineup that you print out and put on your wall at work, and people say, "What the hell is that?" And then you have to explain to them what fantasy football is. Thanks for the previous answer. Was also looking for Loveland Hill at tight end. Oh, yep, sorry, I didn't mean to skip over that one. Loveland, tight end 6 on the week. 49ers have only been the 10th easiest matchup against tight ends. 11.1 full PPR points. Let's get some Loveland in there and let's get him some action that feels good. Start 2, Michael Carter, Bucky or Henderson. Bucky Irving, just one of the worst picks you could make in fantasy this year for a multitude of reasons. His fault, some. A lot his not. Let's see here. Bucky is how? I got to call Evan after this. It's 5:30 a.m. West Coast time. I got to call him and say, Bucky Irving is your RB4 on the week, taking on the Miami Dolphins. 9th easiest matchup, 25.5 implied point total for the Buccaneers. Bucky Irving is projected 18 points, which is just levels of hard to see that I haven't seen, that I haven't witnessed in quite some time. Bucky Irving has not hit 18 points since week 4 against the Eagles. But you know what? He's going to get way more volume than Michael Carter. Has as much upside as Henderson. Actually, no, he doesn't. Why would I say something like that? Just doesn't have the rotation issues that Henderson has. Yes, he does. What am I talking about? See, I keep trying to come up with ways to play Bucky Irving, and my heart can't let me do it. So let me back my way out of this like a chump Mando and say, if you need floor, let's go Bucky Irving. He definitely can still get you that 15, 16, no problem. If you need ceiling, like a lot of us do this week, let's go Henderson, who has a nice matchup and can rip a long one at any given moment. Buccaneers also are without Tristan Wirfs, if I'm not mistaken, which means they are down 3 starting offensive linemen going into this game. Not good for a rushing offense that has already been not good. Full PPR, need a tight end and flex. Jawan, Henry, Barn, or Corum. Let's get some Jawan in there and let's get some Corin in there. That feels pretty hot. They're rotating drives. And so Blake Corum gets about 6 or 7 drives a game, maybe 5. Let's go with that. With one of the number 1 offenses of the last 10 years. So that's hot. That's hot action right there. Kyle Williams on waivers. No, don't love the up and down in the fantasy finals. I know that he's got guys out, but don't love that still. Already starting May. Pat, yeah, you're overloaded with Pats. Let's not pile on. Asrick. Did I get that right? Let me know, please. Let's get some Webster's pronunciations going on there. That'd be kind. ETN, Warren, half PPR. My team is ETN or Warren. Where's ETN this week? ETN is RB12. Colts front put a few guys on IR this week. So the matchup that was already good gets better. 15.4 full PPR points for Travis Etienne, 27 implied point total for the Jaguars this week. So they think they're going to come in and tear them up again, just like they did a few weeks ago. So I like that. If this was tight end premium, maybe I'd think about Warren, but Etienne he's going to give it to you. I'm going to get right back to this one. I have some therapy I have to get to, but when we come back right after the break, we will crush that. I assure you.
People say, oh, there's so much free on Player Profiler. What's in the premium package? Well, it starts with the player rankings. We have the best process for ranking and projecting players, not just seasonal leagues, though. We're talking about tight end premium, specifically FFPC, best ball, specifically underdog, including their superflex rankings. And then we have IDP rankings, dynasty rankings, rookie rankings, Scott Fishbowl rankings, offensive line rankings by Dan Fornick, cornerback rankings throughout the season where you can see who's matched up with who. It's incredible. And think about who's contributed to our processes over time. Math majors, analytics powerhouses, plus you get the contributions from the real football guys. Billy Muzio, Dan Williamson, Bradley Stalder. That's why our rankings are the best. And if you want to upgrade and go all in, use promo code Underworld or your host promo code, and you get $25 off.
All right. Bingo bongo. Where were we? We were talking about Dara Fenton. And he said, who do I start in the flex? Rico Dowdle, Chris Godwin, Kyle Williams. Man, are we in week 17 or are we? This is This is casuals could never. They could never do this, guys. The average person is not capable of these dilemmas. I understand people have bills to pay. They've got, their car's broken down. Their partner is, sending inappropriate DMs on Instagram. They got to worry about that. But they could never handle the Rico Dowdle, Chris Godwin, Kyle Williams dilemma. And honestly, I don't know if I can either. Rico Dowdle, as we talked about earlier, RB26 on the week. Chris Godwin, who I do believe is coming alive, albeit he's been a little unhandsy lately, taking on the Dolphins, who have been pretty decent against the pass. But he's going to be our wide receiver 45 on the week. So, Baker playing hurt, not looking good, jumping out of the pocket early. You're just not getting that clean crispness that we got last year while Liam Cohen was running the show. So I think I like Rico Dowdle here. I know the matchup is difficult, but you're going to get the projected volume. I just think these other guys might have too low of a floor for us to really feel good about them. Tight end, Mayer, Parkinson, or Helm. Ooh, our first Michael Mayer question of the week. I thought we'd get a little bit more of that. Where is the big dog? Michael Mayer is going to be our RB29. He was kind of in that Ingram, likely Terrence Ferguson range. And for good reason. Geno's we just haven't had any consistency out of the passing attack in Las Vegas, which makes sense. Why the hell would Vegas have anything consistent? Anybody ever been to Vegas? It's not capable of handling consistency. God, the cocktail waitresses, they used to come by every 10 minutes. Now it's legitimately once an hour to get my Atletico. Unbelievable. So let's see here. Colby Parkinson, our tight end 16 on the week, taking on the Falcons. Second most difficult matchup of any defense. The Falcons linebackers, very fast, very rangy, very athletic. Lot to not love there. So I guess maybe we take a little Gunnar Helm, who I continue to see on the screen. Nice little floor there. Nice little ceiling. Matchup's decent. Taking on the Saints. So let's say this. If you need floor, let's get some Gunnar Helm in there because he's going to get 5 targets for potentially 31 yards and maybe a touchdown if things feel cool. If you need ceiling, Parkinson's going to be there for you. So let's skedaddle out of that. I feel you might have to stick with them. Thanks, man. Like the vid, should be more likes. I appreciate you guys as well, man. You guys showing up, you're being positive, you're being supportive. All the things that a gentleman like myself really needs and appreciates. Asric wants to know, it's Jaylen Warren. Jaylen Warren, why didn't you say so? You guys act like Jaylen Warren has been memory hold for anybody who needs to have a stable emotional state. Okay. I can't be thinking about Jaylen Warren when he let me down several years ago. Okay. So you have to, for the last several years, Jaylen Warren has let me down. So one good season does not earn, obviously we're talking about Jaylen Warren, when just 8 hours away from Jaylen Warren is a tight end who was rookie of the year at one point. Okay. So don't dude me. All right. I'm here to help. Now your question was ETN or Jaylen Warren. Where is Jaylen Warren this week here? Ooh, he's surprisingly low. Jaylen Warren, RB32 on the week. RB32 taking on the Browns, who have went from the #1 rushing defense down to the mid to low 20s, 18th against fantasy running backs. 10.5 full PPR points. So yeah, I'm still taking ETN. He's going to get the lion's share of the rushing and receiving production, especially with Tootin out. So let's get Travis Etienne back in there. Samuel Castillo, 513. What is 513? What area code is 513? Area code 513. I just like to know my audience. Southwest Ohio, Cincinnati area. So you're only about an hour away from me, my friend. Good to have you. Hope you're staying nice and tidy up there. Let's see. May or Lawrence? I'm going with May for sure. Definitely for sure May. 1 RB. Taylor, Bucky Irving, or Pollard against okay. Yep. And let's give you the Jonathan Taylor. Ooh, Jonathan Taylor was once in MVP talks. Maybe even the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the way that Trump is just dishing them out like candy, all the way down to RB8 on the week, taking the Jags, who just shut his shit down recently and might do it again. The Jaguars are the toughest matchup at running back could have. So that's not great. So you're looking at RB4 and Bucky Irving, RB8 and Jonathan Taylor, and Tony Pollard way down there, although he has looked good, so I don't blame you for throwing him in there. Tony Pollard is our RB29, so we're looking at 10 points for him. The math major himself is going to tell you to play Bucky Irving. The matchup's better. The offense is better. Vegas thinks that the Buccaneers are going to score a full touchdown more than the Colts. If you wanted to play some JT here, I wouldn't hurt you because there is some weird vibes going on with the Buccaneers offense. Like we talked about their offensive line. We talked about the Baker injury here. I think Jonathan Taylor might be the play. I do. I know it's tough front seven, but none of these guys have cakewalk matchups. None of these guys have a lot to be excited about. Jonathan Taylor, it's got to bring the heat one last time. It's got to be the case. And then what did you have there? Tyler Warren or Taysom Hill. If that's the same team, I probably wouldn't double dip Warren and JT, even though I did that for like 10 weeks and it got me lots of cachet with the lady folk. So let's go Taysom Hill there. Ooh, the lisp came out for a second. That means I need to drink up. We're getting some lulls. The yucks are flowing. The yucks are flowing this morning. I appreciate that. Half PPR, need 2 running backs. Kenneth Walker, Tyrone Tracy, or Jaylen Warren. See, you did it. Now I'm thinking about Jaylen Warren. Are you happy now? Are you happy? Do you feel good about what you've done, about the impact you've had on a 5'10", 35-year-old white male from St. Petersburg, Florida? Are those the kind of people you want to be influencing? Let's see here. Kenneth Walker is going to be RB24. Tyrone Tracy shooting up the ranks. Top 20 this week. RB18 taking on the lowly Raiders, who just got lowlier with Mason Crosby being shelved. And then, of course, we talked about Jaylen Warren, who was way down there at RB32 taking on the Browns. So we like Tyrone Tracy. I love the way he's been utilized this last month in the running game, the passing game, the connection with Dart, all that stuff has been really encouraging. So I like what I'm seeing there, and so does Player Profiler. So let's get Tyrone Tracy in there. I got you, friends. Full PPR, need a tight end play. Strange. Are we going to be taming Strange this week, guys? It's going to be the big question on everybody's mind. I've certainly got him in one of my championship lineups in the flex position. And Player Profiler has him as a tight end 1 this week. Tight end 12, in fact. He's got the 5th easiest matchup. The Colts. Colts really struggling to cover the tight end position. We've just been seeing the damage has been done to them. Strange had a nice game against them last time. Waller, I can't do it. Can't do it with Quinn Ewers. I think Quinn Ewers is a capable quarterback, kind of like he could, come in for a game or two and pass the ball, but he's not going to give you what Waller needs, which is touchdowns. And then, of course, Tyler Warren. It's really suffering, struggling, all that jazz from the no Daniel Jones. I kind of feel like Brenton Strange is the play here. I like the way Lawrence is dealing. I know that there's a full complement of weapons in Jacksonville right now, which does make it a little bit, whose turn is it, which I don't love either, but that's the same thing with Warren right now. So let's just take the floor with Strange and feel pretty decent about it. Let's see here. I have JT and ETN playing, and opponent has Trevor. Ooh, so you don't really want to. I don't know. What are your all's thoughts on that? I waffle back and forth between, like, if Trevor Lawrence scores, do I want a piece of the pie? Can I get a piece of the pie? You already have JT, so I don't love the JT Tyler Warren. See, I almost said Jaylen Warren again. You've screwed me, Asrick. You've screwed me. You've screwed me for the rest of the day, perhaps. Let's get some Brenton Strange in there so that when Trevor Lawrence throws a touchdown to him, that your opponent's going to feel like shit. And it's not just about getting the points on the board. It's about making your opponent feel like shit. I don't know about anyone else out there. I had my opponent text me, my biggest money league. He texted me at 5:30 a.m. this morning. And he said, just wanted to say good luck this weekend. And I love your Twitter page. Shit makes me die laughing all the time. Look at this. He's playing the good guy. He's playing the guy nobody wants to root against. And I have to beat this motherfucker. I have to beat this motherfucker with a team that is not the team that you really love. Jalen Hurts, Bucky Irving, Woody Marks, Chris Olave, Michael Wilson, Trey McBride, Drake London, Jalen Waddle, and Saints defense. Wish me luck, guys. Wish me luck. All right. You mean undrafted free agent Jaylen Warren, who's been in the league for 4 years, and this is his first season actually being the lead back? I'm not throwing shade on Jaylen Warren. It's just that I'm throwing shade on Jaylen Warren. I'm sorry. All right. I am sorry. All right. AC Yard Services, Portland. Everybody, make sure if you need yard services and you're in the Portland area, this is your go-to vendor. Half PPR, start Taysom Hill or Colston Loveland. Taysom Hill or Colston Loveland. That's like your Ron Burgundy. Taysom Hill or Colston Loveland. As anybody who follows the show here regularly knows, Colston Loveland's mother is a wonderful woman who follows me on Twitter. And so it's very difficult for me to recommend tight ends over him. And that goes to this matchup right now. Colston Loveland is our tight end 6 on the week, taking on the 49ers, 11.1 full PPR points, 10th easiest matchup. And just for anybody who's not looking at the Vegas numbers here, 24.8 implied points for the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams has a new bay, and we love new bays on the show. We love when new relationships begin to bloom. So I would encourage anybody who is looking to have their mind blown to look into that and what's going on there. It's a good chuckle. And yeah, that's about 6 spots ahead of Taysom Hill as well. So one more point for Colston in there. I like the floor. I like the ceiling. This is the Bears offense that's cooking right now as well. So let's ride that train, feel good about it. Low floor with Taysom Hill. Let's not forget that, guys. Taysom Hill's floor is pretty low. And I know that the running back position is brutalized there, and that has caused some more of the involvement. You know, a bunch of guys on IR, Alvin Kamara not playing again. But I mean, you look at the last 6 games, 0.2 points, -1 point, 1.2 points, 1.7 points. And then last week he gets a nice little touchdown pass to Chris Olave, and that buoys his performance. But I just can't be having that in the championship game. Not when there's other top 10 options available. You know, if you wanted to throw me like Taysom Hill or Cade Otton, or Taysom Hill or, you know, Luke Musgrave, you know, Taysom Hill, or I guess that already happened. Taysom Hill or like Pat Fryermuth. Now we're talking. Now we're cooking. But not when you got Colston Loveland on the board. Start Walker or Sampson, and start Warren or Barner. Nobody knows what to do with Kenneth Walker. I love it. I love it. That's been a big one today. I think Kenneth Walker has been Kenneth Walker or Taysom Hill have been our most asked questions. And I understand. You know, let's look at Kenneth Walker real quick here. Let's get the bird's eye view. Basically, the tight end, he's been the Taysom Hill of running backs over the last 5 weeks, right? RB7 last week, goes off against a good Rams front 7. But prior to that, I got to take the glasses off for this one. RB 56, 49, 35, and 17. So he was trending in the wrong direction. Has the ship been righted? He gets a Carolina front 7 that is ass in a bag. Ass in a paper bag, too. You know, not a plastic bag. Ass in a paper bag. All kinds of fun going on there. 7th easiest matchup for any running back this week for Kenneth Walker. Dylan Sampson, you know what you're getting, right? He's a utility player that'll be used in passing downs, maybe a little bit of rushing work, but not a ton, not any effective rushing work. Pittsburgh, pretty decent against the run, 21st against the RBs. 11th most difficult against RBs on the season. They've been a lot better lately, as we've seen. They've shut down some very good rushing offenses, even with TJ Watt out. So I'm going with Kenneth Walker here. Trending in the right way. Nice usage. Nice matchup. Pretty good looking cat, too, when you pull his picture up. Online. All right. Carson, I got you. Another Kenneth Walker question. Guy, if this was a little bit later in the day, I would be drinking every time you guys mentioned Kenneth Walker, and I would be blackout drunk. I'm still taking Kenneth Walker here, especially over Michael Carter. We're talking about similar situation, but just a much better player and a much better offense. Again, a much better matchup. Ooh, another little kicker question. Myers, McPherson, or Mevis for the people? This is a law firm if I've ever seen one. Mevis, kicker 4 on the week. McPherson, kicker 2 on the week. Who's our last one? Myers, Jason Myers, kicker 6 on the week. So we got to go with the Bengals kicker here. Mainly because they're projected 30.25 points scored for the Bengals. So you want McPherson to get in on that hot action. I Hope Olave gets 14 targets and Burrow chooses Chase over Higgins. I like that as well. I think that's what's going to happen. Chris Olave, wide receiver 6 this last month alone on wide receiver 9 usage. He has been very good. And I've always thought he was going to be a very good player. He just needed a quarterback that can make magic work. He need an offensive coordinator that was not a not a POS, and he's got one. I feel happy about that. He's been terrific this year. Chris Olave leads the league in deep targets. He also has by far the most fantasy points lost due to drops. Almost, I think he's at 60 points. 60 points lost due to drops. Hilarious. And he's still way up there. So I don't know if there's a question in here, but I appreciate I like to have a little side action. Somebody else coming in, giving me their opinion, give me their chops. It's always the case. All right, non-PPR league, Alec Pierce or Devin Singletary. Let's get the Devin Singletary ranking up there. RB 41 on the week, 8.1 full PPR points. I know that is standard, or you're talking about standard here. We have him projected for 10 rushing attempts and 45 yards, maybe a reception for 10 yards. Not a lot to love there. Alec Pierce is basically in that same range as well. You know, he's going to be our wide receiver 44. Wow, do we have 41 and 44 here? So I'm taking, it's a tough matchup for Pierce. They should be behind playing catch up in this game though. So let's get Pierce in there and let's let the touchdown. You're praying for a touchdown here, and I think that will continue with Alec Pierce. If you of these two guys, who's the most likely to score a touchdown here? I'm going with Alec Pierce. Last Jamar Chase touchdown. Yeah, that's not good, but this is the week, baby. Jamar Chase always has one game in December to make it a December to remember, and he has not had that game yet. I do think it's coming. Who should I start? Tyler Warren or AJ Barner full PPR? Tyler Warren, baby. Get Tyler Warren in your matchup over the AJ Barner types. AJ Barner, I thought was going to be a thing. Turns out, he's a good player. I like him, but he's much more than this. His usage is, unfortunately, very much. Who do I want to think of here? It's like a George Kittle sometimes, where it's just like, while he's not the receiver that George Kittle is, he is an incredible blocker. And that's just where when this offensive line is still trying to figure things out, it is a lot better than it has been in previous years. They play so much heavy personnel, and they just have Barner in blocking a lot more than I would love for a fantasy. I think this is the guy that could be like a Dallas Goedert, but spends too much time with his hands on the ground. Josh Allen has been poop lately, so shucker Allen. Josh Allen has not been what you want. What are Josh Allen's last few games like? Because he's calling him poop, calling a guy who's married, got a kid on the way, dating a Hollywood actress. He had 24 points 2 weeks ago. He had 37 points 3 weeks ago. So he got a tough matchup last week, and he got hurt. Not anything you love, but he is still quarterback 4 on the week, taking on the Eagles. Eagles have been tough against opposing quarterbacks, but they've got some injuries as well. The Bills need this game. I know a lot of teams need games, but the Bills need this game. We're bumping up against the hour here, so I got to I got to get rocking and rolling here. Play Josh Allen. Don't overthink this one. Full PPR, Kittle, Tongs, Juwan Johnson, Strange. I'm taking the Kittle. I'm taking the 49ers pairing there. Mike Evans or T. Higgins, thank you. I'm taking T. Higgins there as well. Trust me, I love Mike Evans. He's a handsome man, one of the most charitable men of all time, and a tenderest lover. But T. Higgins has the matchup this week that's just too good. In the championship, should I wait to see if Kittle plays? I have Komet and Tong. Yeah. If you can wait on Kittle if you have Tongas, guys. Don't worry about that. He's going to be fine, especially over a lot of the other tight ends that are being played this week. You know, if you don't have McBride, Pitts, Fannin, Loveland, Goddard, like if you're out of that range, you're just praying for a touchdown, and 49ers tight ends are just as likely as the rest of these guys to get one. And don't start Waller. Do not start Waller. Is Ramondre still? Yes, Ramondre is still flex worthy, because not only is Trevion Henderson concussed, and I know he is going to play, but this is a rotation. And, you know, if they're winning this game early, I would not hesitate to see, or I would not be surprised to see Henderson, put on the shelf a little bit, just in favor of getting Ramondre some more reps, some other guys some more reps, and just keeping the star players safe. This is not a dumb team. They're an annoying team, but they're not a dumb team. One of the greatest gentlemen in the history of civilization is here in Pete, and he's saying, hey, an absolute mastermind, a guy who has put me, with his defensive rankings, has put me into a couple finals. So if you guys need defensive help, if you need help in general, you need life advice, weightlifting advice, how to be a terrific partner, get over to Pete's page, Supernova on Twitter, and check it out, and make sure you check out all the work he's doing at Player Profiler as well. Half PPR, tight end premium, Kyle Williams, Alec Pierce, or Taysom. Let's get some Taysom in there. I don't love Taysom in this week, but if you're getting premium in there, I like that. Yeah, that feels good. I would obviously play Kittle, and you need to know what's going on with Kittle first. But if that's not a case, you know what to do. Get some Taysom in there. Also, it's Grant. Oh shit. Why would you do this to me? You want to one more dagger to my mental health before we get out of here. All right, folks, that's going to do it for today's show. As always, I am Chuck Bass. You can find me on Twitter. We'll have a start sit mega thread going live. Ooh, Kittle, highly unlikely to play. Boom. Okay, that answers a lot of questions today. Thank you. I appreciate that. Teams report to Adam Schefter, and Adam Schefter reports to us. So in the hierarchy, let's all remember where we sit. We're at the top of the pyramid. So when you see these updates from these Twitter bots, remember, they're reporting to you. So always remember that. Have a great day. Thank you. I love you guys. Good luck today. I appreciate all 17 weeks of the show, all the questions, all the analysis, all the opinions, everything that I've come to love. You guys are the best. If you guys need any more help, there will be start sit shows going all day long, but I will be on Twitter posting polls, and we'll get the wisdom of the crowd in there as well. Let's get out of here on this one. Andre Lard, full PPR, Parker Washington, Luther Burden, or Raheed Shaheed. Let's get Luther Burden in there. Wide receiver 32 on the week. Parker Washington, wide receiver 55. And Rashid Shaheed, who I don't think I have had anybody ask me all season long, wide receiver 58. Boom, Luther Burden, almost doubled these guys up. Love you guys. Let's get out of here, and cheers.